First thing I wanted to say on this issue is I'm absolutely not going to read that. My official response would be get wrecked, get bammed on.
Get bammed on.
But I'm like, wait a minute. Are you guys the ones who are like not letting it go? I don't know. I'm just saying. This episode of Lobbing Scorchers is sponsored by Full Pull Wines, a Seattle-based seller. Not only are they a local company, but they've been supporting independent Seattle soccer media since 2011 and are run by Sounders fans. They offer the best boutique wines in the world to members of their mailing list with special focus on their home, the Pacific Northwest. Their model is simple. 1, they email compelling offers. 2, you request bottles that sound appealing. 3, your wine arrives at their Soto warehouse and is ready for pickup or shipping. Their Soto tasting room is also open to the public. If you're interested in joining their mailing list or learning more about them, visit fullpullwines.com. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 64 of Lobbing Scorchers. This is Ari Lillianwall. I got producer Noah here with me. And Noah, it's another dub pod today. How are you feeling?
Man, it's always good to have a dub pod, but even better to have a dub pod against the club of professional wrestling enthusiasts.
Exactly. It hits a little nicer when it's versus the club of professional wrestling enthusiasts. That's right, folks. It's a second straight dub pod as the Seattle Sounders thoroughly beat Sporting Kansas City, the club of professional wrestling enthusiasts, at Lumen Field last night, 2-0. Jackson Ragen had another goal. We got another Paul Rothrock goal, so that's always a good. It's always a good day for Lobbing Scorchers. Seattle gets their 13th win of the year to move to 46 points on the season, just one off the pace of Real Salt Lake for a top 4 spot in the West. It was really a great day for Seattle sports in general yesterday. You had the Seahawks getting a dub, you had the Mariners getting a dub, you had the Storm getting a dub, and then you had the Sounders tying it all off with a dub. So we're going to do our game review. We're going to hit our agenda check. We're going to take your questions. There's a couple other news items from around MLS, and we're going to hit winners and losers. So it'll be a jam-packed show tonight. I'm excited for it. But before we get into all that, I did want to let you all know that Lobbing Scorchers is a part of the Sounder at Heart podcast network. If you want to get the best independent Seattle soccer coverage, consider supporting us by going to sounderatheart.com/LS. sounderatheart.com/LS. Scroll down to subscribe and support to get 30 days completely free. Every sign up through our link helps support and grow this show. Now, Noah, we're going to read out the supporters' names. I was informed by the people of Reddit who posted about us that which, you know, I probably shouldn't have read Reddit on Reddit, but people, it was, you know, most of the feedback we've gotten is positive. Some people did say they don't like the part where we read out the supporters' names. So I just wanted to clarify that if you count yourself among those people, the best thing you can do is subscribe to the show at sounderatheart.com/LS, because if we get enough, eventually we're going to have to it's going to be untenable to read the full list. But for now, we only have 34. So that's we can still read them out. So we're going to do it until there's so many that we can't. So you know what to do if you're one of those people where it bothers you. Anyway, Noah, let it rip. Please read all the subs.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lobbing Scorchers supporters we love and cherish that help make this show possible: Kenneth Wade, Joey Pasquinelli, David McCoy, Owen Mason, Daniel Pavato, Samuel Fout, Ian Mitchell, Christopher Smith, Norm Bontier, Thomas Martin, Greg Hoker, Chris Maley, Andy Hill, Mike Lintini, Nate Bontier, David Rodriguez, CJ and Miles Marinakis,
my nephews,
Mark Ottinger, Zach Heckman, David Pope, Brian Morton, Claire Berger, Robert Sink, Tyler Nakatsu, Steve Hudson, Choska, Patrick Sexton, John Hammaker, Imani Buck, Justin Walker, Jay Anders, Ryan Shane, and Nathan Jones.
Thank you all so much. Well read, Noah. We had a few new names there. We love and appreciate all of you. And if you would like to join the ranks of those that we just read off, sounderatheart.com/LS.
And ladies and gentlemen, I know Ari won't share it. He won't say it. But his birthday is coming up here. And all he wants for his birthday is a couple more subs.
It's true. My birthday is on Wednesday, the same night that the Sounders play the San Jose Earthquakes at Lumen Field. And if you want to get me a gift, that's the best gift that you could possibly give me.
Yeah. And if you are already subscribed and you really enjoy an episode, we have now added the option on all articles across Sounder at Heart where you can send us a little tip. You can say, thanks, here's a tip.
Oh, yeah, it's a good shout. I forgot about that. Yeah. Also, if you haven't done so yet, please sub to the Lobbing Scorchers YouTube. The road to 550 subs on there is alive and well. Just looked at it. We're at 542. So just 8 more to get us to 550, and then we can start the road to 600. So appreciate everyone who's helping us grow on that platform. The YouTube's kind of popping. The comments section, some of the content in there is good, some of it's bad, but we appreciate it all. All right. We're gonna get into this dub pod in just 1 minute here, but I did have one thing I wanted to talk about before we do the dub pod, Noah, which is that unfortunately have to inform you that we have upset some among the fan base of the Columbus Crew and in the city of Columbus.
When have we not ruffled some feathers?
We ruffled some feathers. They were not happy about our last episode in which we had a rollicking good time with their lack of a backup goalkeeper. There was a couple YouTube comments that were less than thrilled on our perspective on that whole issue. Which, we're not going to litigate that at all. That's done and dusted. But I did want to say we got a tweet response of a guy who did an 8. He numbered them. You know how people do like the
threads. Or whatever,
he did a thread and he numbered him 1 through 8, and he wrote it was probably 1,500 word response by the time it was all said and done. So the first thing I wanted to say on this issue is just to that guy, I'm absolutely not going to read that.
Sorry, buddy.
You might have made some good points. You might have debunked everything that we said, but that's just, you got to be more concise than that.
Yeah.
If you number your thread 1 through 8, there's just no shot that I'm diving into that. I'm just not going to do it. And then in general, I just wanted to say to any of the Crew fans who disagree with us, my official response would be get wrecked, get bammed on, get bammed on, get a backup goalkeeper. And then maybe you won't get bammed on by 4-0, and you wouldn't be in this situation. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. I think we can move on from there. Do you have anything else to add there?
Make sure you don't eat raw meat. And also, sorry that happened, or congratulations. I ain't reading all that, Chief.
Right, exactly. Well, you know what we need is we need a... you know how on sports talk radio they have the buttons with the we need a button
soundboard,
a soundboard that has the Mike Tomlin.
Oh yeah, we do not care.
I really want to press a button for "We do not care."
I think we can set that up if we get some more subs, ladies and gentlemen. We get some more money
because I feel like that would be useful in more circumstances other than just this one. I would use that all the time. Yeah. So
noted.
Anyway, I did want to point that out and let the people of Columbus know that we saw what you said and
we do not care.
We do not care. Okay. All right. Let's do this dub pod. This is a good dub. It's a good dub for Seattle. So let's break it down. Break it down for the people. We'll start with our lineup reaction as we always do, because there was a little bit going on with this lineup. It was not just a run it back, same lineup that they've been using. There was a little bit of rotation here. We had a Georgie start. That was the main thing. We had a Georgie start, his first ever start at Lumen Field. He started one other MLS game this year, I believe, but this was his first home start. And then you had the Christian Roldan and Obed Vargas double pivot. JP, I believe, is dealing with a concussion right now, if I'm not mistaken. So you had Christian moving back, Georgie get the start, and you had a Paul Rothrock start. And De La Vega was coming off the bench in this one, which I think given the circumstances with JP out and De La Vega still working back to fitness, I thought this was great to give Georgie a start because we've been purveyors of the agenda, and we want to see him get more minutes, and we got an opportunity for that here, and we're going to talk about it in the agenda check. But I was glad to see him just get the start to begin with, and I thought he did great.
Yeah, no, I was stoked to see him get a start. When the lineup came up on my phone, I was like, oh. That's a nice little surprise. That's a nice little wrinkle. I wasn't totally surprised he was getting the start, but it was cool to see him start. I was a little concerned. I was like, oh, no De La Vega. He's not injured, by the way, even though he didn't practice. But, I was a little concerned there. And Paul Rothrock start, I knew it was going to be a good game. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so going into this game, I mean, it's Sporting Kansas City. So like we said on the preview show, I mean, you never know what these guys are going to do. It could be the rock bottom. It could be the full Nelson. It could be a suplex.
The chair could come out of nowhere.
The rock somehow might get involved.
Yeah.
You just never know. I did think it was funny, I call them the club of professional wrestling enthusiasts. And sometimes some of their fans hear that and they go are you ever going to let that go? Are you going to keep talking about that? That was 2 or 3 years ago at this point. Like, are you ever going to move on? And my response to that is always no. I'm absolutely not going to move on. I'm going to bring that up and refer to that club as the Club of Professional Wrestling Enthusiasts until the day I die. But like, it's funny because that's what they always say to me. But then in the lead up to this game, I saw a fairly prominent and well-known Sporting Kansas City podcast like posting like GIFs and memes of like The Rock, but it's got Tim Melia's face on it, and then his opposition has like Christian rolled up. So I'm like, wait a minute. Are you guys the ones who are like not letting it go? I don't know. I'm just saying. I thought that was funny. But either way, the sort of animosity between these two clubs over that event, like it always adds a little element to the games against them, and it makes beating their ass like this like a little much better, a little more satisfying. And this game was definitely no exception. Seattle put the hurt on Sporting Kansas City throughout this game. It could have been worse than 2-0, but let's break down the two goals that Seattle did score. First, in the 19th minute, Jackson Ragen, apparently the new number 9 for this team. He's been scoring a bunch of goals lately. He gets another one, but this one once again was set up by a perfect corner kick from Albert Rusnak. His delivery found Jordan Morris. That the Morris to Rusnak connection on these corner kicks has been elite over the last like couple months, and it's set up like there's been a couple goals now in recent weeks where Jordan has put it on target, and then Jackson has cleaned up the rebound. That's exactly what happened on this play. Jordan headed it on target, and Melia laid out and saved it, but it fell right to Jackson Ragen, who roofed it. Easy goal, 1-0. And really, I felt like the floodgates kind of opened from there as far as Seattle's imprint on this game. I didn't look at what the XG was, but it felt like it was flowing.
Yeah.
And they got their second in the 40th minute through
Paul Rothrock. What am I saying, guys? Folks, I botched the bit. Wait, let's ready. Let's try one more time, Ari, so I can botch it again. Ready?
Seattle got their second goal in the 40th minute through
Paul motherfucking Rothrock.
Paul Rothrock. This was a great goal, great team goal. 26 pass buildup, folks. I think that's got to be the longest buildup of the season. 26 is a huge number. Like, if you see like 10 to 15, like that's a good buildup. 20 plus, especially like mid 20s. That's just good footy. There was a lot of good footy in this game. But yeah, this was a 26 pass buildup that ends with Rusnak. So you were kind of
I was on the Rusnak brain.
Rusnak headed it across to Jordan, who set up Rothrock for a classic Paul Rothrock goal.
It was a classic.
The sliding close range finish. He's pretty unstoppable with that. And that made it 2-0. And really, this game was pretty much smooth sailing from there. Sporting KC was never really messing with Seattle at all. Steph Fry made one really good save early, which that actually turned out to be a big save because that was before Jackson Ragen scored.
Yeah.
So that was a clutch save from Stephen Fry. But other than that, Club of Professional Wrestling Enthusiasts really had nothing. Seattle was running all over them and really could have had a few more goals. It was unfortunate. I think if there's one thing to nitpick about this game, it was that it was unfortunate that they didn't get the third. They got really close on the play where it looked like Christian scored, so they were going to give it to Jordan Morris, and turned out that he was slightly offside after Christian headed it in. And I think that was actually the right call because Jordan, it looked to me like he got a touch to it and he was like way offside.
Yeah. Either way, he was offside and right in front of Melia. And I mean, if you're a goalkeeper and there's a striker coming at you, you're going to shift your body towards that striker. I thought the ref actually did a really great job with that play to let it play out and then bring it back.
That's a good point actually, because that's what they're trained to do, is let it stand and then you go back and fix it after the fact. And too many refs don't do that.
Yeah.
So you're right. That was well officiated and fairly waved off, but it was unfortunate because that would have been a really sick goal.
It could have easily been a 4-0 game.
Easily. And like just the way they were playing out there, like all the interplay and the one touch. They were slicing and dicing.
Oh,
They looked
yeah.
like they were having fun. There was juice. There was swagger. Like it was fun to watch.
Well, do you think, because this is towards the end of the match, this is all that was in my brain was, this feels like the most complete Sounders match I've watched all season.
Yeah.
They came out with confidence. They played with confidence into halftime, out of halftime. The whole time, it never felt like they turned off.
I totally agree. And the kind of comparison I was going to make along those lines was, do you remember last season when Seattle started off like really hot, and they had that game against Real Salt Lake where Schmetz gave the press conference after the game, and he was like, damn, like that was some of the best ball that I've seen the Seattle Sounders play in a long time, just like with how we looked out there. And that's kind of what this game felt like 100%. To me. Like they really, that's about as comprehensive a 2-0 as you could hope for. I'm gonna hit my rapid fire takeaways.
Did you note about the Rusnak saved penalty? I know the anti-Rusnak purveyors would be sad if we glossed over this.
Good shout. I didn't put that, but yes. So Seattle could have had a third, so Obed Vargas won a penalty. Albert Rusnak went up to take it.
He did the classic, the he learned from Nico penalty strat.
Yes, that's like the second or third time he's successfully done that this season. So it was a good job by him to win it, and Rusnak stepped up to take it, and it got it saved by Amelia, which, yes, the anti-Rusnak brigade was not happy about that, or maybe they were happy about that because, it kind of fueled their fire.
Correct.
But the thing I will say about that is to Amelia, for however much he enjoys professional wrestling more than professional soccer, he's a beast on penalties.
He might be the best of all time at penalties. That's like his thing.
Yeah, like, and not even just in MLS, just like out of any goalkeeper. Like, it's unreal. Like, and there's actually, like, I say that somewhat facetiously, but like we were talking about it with Sporting KC PR in the press box, and they were giving us like the actual stats. He saved something. I can't remember the exact number, but
I'm trying to pull it up here.
It's like 43% or something.
Yeah,
of the pens that he's
crazy.
ever faced. So he's a god at saving penalties. I don't really know what there is to that, because penalties to me always feel like so random.
Right.
And like I don't know, like I always question like how much of it is a skill and how much of it is just like total luck,
Right.
But like with Melia, like clearly he's very good at like knowing tendencies and just guessing right, I guess. I don't know. But like it's to the point, like his reputation with that is such that like when Rusnak stepped up, I was like, I would be more surprised if he makes it, because like
Same.
Melia, like anytime you get a penalty against Sporting KC, it's like that's like a real weapon for them. Like they don't have a lot going for them these days, but like them, if they concede a penalty 43% of the time, it's not going in, which is just that's crazy.
Which carried their whole historic run that they made, like when they were last season in the playoffs, like when they played those absolute frauds at St. Louis City SC. They won. They won in penalties, right? I'm pretty sure. But I know Melia made a shitload of saves in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And that was like the thing that fueled their run. And so, yeah, honestly, I think it was funny when he stepped to take that penalty. I was like, he's probably not scoring this. Like genuinely, that was just my first reaction. Like, so it was.
So, credit.
And like, how many keepers in the league can you say that about?
Credit to Tim Melia for making that save and for just his general attribute of being really good at saving penalties, and for making it through this entire game without suplexing anybody. Folks, he made it from minute 1 to minute 90 plus stoppage in the first and second half without doing a rock bottom.
Yeah,
he did.
He sat down, he listened, he learned, he respected. He moved forward. He's a new man, maybe.
I guess he must be a changed man.
He probably got tired out because, like our last viewer had noted, WWE's in town this past weekend.
Right.
Which, funny enough, after that video, I got invited to go to that in one of the booths, but I had to work, so I couldn't make it. But I just thought that was funny, dude.
Tragic.
Like, like that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I was hoping to wear my Sporting Kansas City uniform.
But if you were, like I said, if you were wondering if this game means that I'll be turning the page and not bringing up the Club of Professional Wrestling Enthusiasts anymore, Absolutely not. Like that's what they have branded themselves that forever. Like we could be recording Lobbing Scorchers in the year 2054, and I promise you I will still be calling them that. So don't worry, nothing's going to change as far as all that goes. All right, let's hit my rapid fire takeaways, and then we can hit agenda check. Tell me what you think of these, Noah. You kind of already hit on it already, and we both riffed on it. But yeah, this as good and thorough a performance offensively as they've had all season, even though they only got the 2 goals. Just very excellent play in attack, free flowing, one touch. It was all working. Like the squad was vibing out there. And with the points that they've collected lately, top 4 spot in the West, right there for the taking. I don't know if you've noticed this, but Real Salt Lake, low-key kind of spiraling.
Yeah.
They sold Andres Gomez, who was one of their best, most productive players. And really, I think what you're seeing with them is that he kind of opened up and like keyed a lot of how they play.
Yeah.
And they did good business by selling him. They got a bag, but they have not replaced him. And really, like, this is my take on Real Salt Lake, which is that they're a little like the Nashville SC squads of the last couple years, where it's like Chicho Arango or bust right now. Like, Diego Luna is good, but he's not like a fully carry the load type player yet. He might be at some point, but like if they don't have Chicho going off, like their attack is nothing special. And Seattle, they're very much like in range for Seattle to overtake them, is my point.
Especially with the lineup, the next fixtures that Seattle has versus Real Salt Lake.
Exactly. We were talking about how kind of soft the schedule is right now on the last show, and RSL is going through a bit of a gauntlet, and Seattle has the Quakes coming up, who are, they lost to the Quakes earlier this season, but they are one of the worst teams in the league. I think they are the worst team in the league record-wise. So the opportunity is there, is my point.
But let's not forget who lost to San Jose.
Well, that's what I was just saying. Like you don't want to get overconfident on that. I'm mad at myself because I was going to bring that up in the part at the beginning where I was talking about the Crew fans. One of them tweeted at me and said, these Seattle guys are just harping on this because this is the only thing of note that the Sounders have done all year. And, I just want to say that's not actually true. This Sounders team lost to the San Jose Earthquakes.
That is very notable.
Which is very notable, and you lost to the Seattle Sounders.
That's true. So you are actually worse than the San Jose Earthquakes.
Who's got the problem?
Yeah.
I'm glad you reminded me to work that one in. Yeah. I'm pissed at myself for missing that one. De La Vega is getting there. He's getting there. He seems fitter. We still haven't seen like the game-changing impact that we want and need to see for, I think, this team to reach what you would hope its ceiling is. But I thought it was a good shift. Like, I like how he plays, and it seems like the chemistry is getting there. So let's just get this guy fit, and I want to see him play like a full 90. I feel like in these cameos, you can't really he hasn't popped, but like. He's only playing
every time he scores, it just gets called offside. Though.
And it's also true. Every time he's scored a goal, it's gotten waved off. So, but like it's pretty. The rotation they've got right now, where he's like coming off the bench. Remember when Caleb Porter was complaining about they're bringing this $10 million player off the bench, and we were making fun of him. But it's like it's kind of true. It's a nasty thing to get to pull out of your bag when you're ahead, it's a nice little ace in the pocket. So obviously you want him starting and carrying a load, like ideally, but for right now, it's like not the worst thing to have coming off the bench.
Yeah, no joke.
Sporting Kansas City, Club of Professional Wrestling Enthusiasts, really bad.
Actively the worst.
I think it has to be said. Like they were just like so easy to play through. They really have not much going on, it seems like, in attack other than like funnel the ball to Johnny Russell. Daniel Saloway, the professional wrestling enthusiasts like surfaced at a couple points in this game.
Yeah.
Like at one point, Georgie cooked Saloway so bad that he just yanked his ass down. It's like, okay, that's where you guys are at right now. I see how this
Where's
is.
the Rey Mysterio mask? Get him the mask.
He got the yellow for it, but I think that kind of play, I thought, just sort of indicated where they're at compared to where like the other teams in the league are at right now. It's bad down there, and like
they're completely out of playoff contention, right?
They're way out, and Peter Vermees they're just gonna keep churning
riding
on that
the boy
train, which that's their prerogative. Not really my concern how they run their organization, but it just does not. Like Polito is like they gave him an extension. He Seattle handled him pretty easily. There just wasn't the juice from them. Like usually this is like their MLS Cup when they come here and they give Seattle a really hard time and they bust out the wrestling moves. Like they're usually good at coming here and bamming, and they just didn't look up for it at all. So.
I mean, minus 10 GD is brutal. Like they're getting busted on.
And they've given up like 53 goals.
Yeah, 55 total. 55.
Goals.
They've scored 45, and like I don't know. Do you think they need to move off of Peter V? Do you really think that would make a change?
I mean, here's the thing, man, is like he controls everything there. He's like the sporting director, he's the GM, czar, the CEO, and the head coach. He does. And so that's why I always laugh at like his blazing hot press conferences where he's like, the team was terrible today, awful performance. These guys need to get it together. I don't even know why they're on the team. And I'm
like, man, you can cut them, brother.
Well, also it's like, who put the team together?
Right.
Who controls the roster?
I'm trying to find who did this.
Exactly. Like I can't watch one of his pressers where he like pops off like that without thinking that. Like But so like purely from a coaching perspective, like I think he's a provenly like decent MLS coach. Like they won an MLS Cup in like 2013 or whatever that was, and they were like, remember the Benny Feilhaber and Graham Zusi?
Yeah,
and,
that was a cooking team.
That was, and like that 2016 playoff game where Nelson Valdez famously bammed on them. They like really in the VAR era, they like probably win that game.
Yeah,
like Matt Beasler scored a goal that was called offside that I don't think he was, and then Nelson Valdez's goal was like offside, 100%. So that was a good game, though. Is my point. And like I don't know, just it used to be kind of a low key Western Conference rivalry, and they've fallen off.
Plus ratio.
All right, let's hit our agenda check. We got 4 written down here, including one submitted by listener Matt that we're going to talk about. We're going to start with the Georgie agenda. Strengthened for me drastically, man. I thought he was excellent. It's very satisfying to watch a winger just totally moss their defenders 1v1 like he does a lot.
Yeah.
He plays with a lot of juice, a lot of energy, and it just seems like he's one of those guys that when he's on the ball, good stuff happens, The end product is still a work in progress. But like, if we're honestly, like, my thing with the Georgie agenda the whole time has been like, I don't know how functionally different it is than the Leo Chu experience, but there's a lot more unknown there, so you may as well try the unknown. But I'm like ready to say that like he looks a lot more dangerous than Leo Chu has been looking this season consistently, and I thought it was like a really legitimately good shift. Like it's not like a blending in, holding his own kind of thing. It's like he stands out. Out.
I mean, I thought it was fine. Like I like Georgie.
You're pouring cold water. Okay.
I like Georgie. I think he is effectively a Leo Chu replacement, but also like Leo Chu's a bot. So you're really upgrading slightly. Now, is that saying that that's always going to be how Georgie plays? Absolutely not. And I really did like the shift he put in today. I'm not saying by any means that I think Georgie is bad or that he shouldn't play. I am a purveyor of the let him cook, let him play, let's see how it goes. But I don't know how much this game specifically did to completely change my mind. That said, I do think that he was like good for his first start. It was his first start. Like he was pretty nervous, I would say at first. You could tell he was missing some passes here and there. One that led to kind of a missed pass that led to kind of a dangerous counterattack. But again, let him cook, let him integrate with the group a little bit more, and I'm happy to see where he goes. But I think at this point, what I've seen is like he's still Leo Chu level, and I don't want him to be Leo Chu level. I want him to be better than Leo Chu level.
Right. No, and I agree with that. But I think for me, I saw that a little differently. Like I thought this was the first time where I was like, this looks better than the Leo Chu level. This like
Just
when
the
I
games
watch him on the ball, like it seems like more dangerous stuff happens from that position than when Leo Chu is out there.
But like when Leo Chu was on, like when he was having games and he was on, he looked pretty damn good.
And there was end product as far as like, for however much revisionist history there is about that. Like Leo Chu put up some stats. He had a 4-assist game. He had 8 assists, 5 goals last year. He basically single-handedly won the Whitecaps game last year. He helped win the Galaxy away game last year. So there were some moments that Georgie hasn't played enough to get to like equal or exceed that yet. But he does have to, like, there's a step that he has to take to like get there. So I think
I'm just not ready to jump on the train yet. I'm like slow. It's like, it's starting to leave the station and it's slowly moving. And I'm just kind of doing like a slow jog beside the train of hype. That's where I'm at.
Okay, I've combined 2 agendas into one agenda here.
Love this.
The Seattle Sounders / Albert Rusnak only beat up on bad teams agenda in honor of Bradley Wright Phillips. And I mean, this was strengthened because we just talked about it, but like Sporting KC, soccer, they're not good at it. So
nope.
Anyone who is a purveyor of this agenda, they just have more fuel to the fire. And you already saw it coming out, specifically in regards to Rusnak. There's a member of the anti-Rusnak brigade that likes to hop in my mentions a fair amount. And he literally calls him Tam Rusnak, which I think is the kind of heat, honestly.
That's fire.
But he was saying, like the do it against LAFC like take. So this did fuel that agenda for those who purvey it.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, as many of you know, I've infiltrated the anti-Rusnak brigade, chats, and they were so excited about this game. When Albert missed that penalty, they were like, "Look, bro, he's going ghost. Bro, he's going ghost. He's literally ghost, bro."
Okay,
and then I was saying, "Here you go. You hit it.
Well,
you address."
Okay, can I just ask, like, why do you think Seattle scored the first goal in this game?
Well, bro, he didn't have an assist on the stat sheet, bro.
What about the assist on the stat sheet that he got for the second goal?
No, but like he was ghost, bro. He was ghost, bro. Right. No.
I mean, yeah, the brigade's gonna do their thing. I mean, he didn't get the assist on the corner kick, but he clearly set up that goal. It doesn't happen without his delivery, which he's done like countless times this season. And then he gets the secondary assist on the Rothrock goal, which like. The brigade will probably say that a secondary assist doesn't count, but like we've talked about it before, but I'm on the opposite end of that. I think secondary assists are fine and valid. So he gets it on the stat sheet for that one. So honestly, like if you are saying he ghosted in this game, then I don't know how you explain the fact that he set up both of the goals that the Sounders scored.
Yeah, it's a really absolutely dumb take, to be honest, and like I do not expect more than that from the Rusnak brigade. The other one that I thought was funny from them was someone in that group asserted that Rusnak was bad at like free kicks and corners, like just set pieces in general. And I normally don't comment in there, but I had to comment and say this is like my favorite message I've ever received, I think, because that's like objectively the dumbest possible take.
One of the top 2 to 3 set piece takers in MLS right now.
Yeah.
And over the last 2 months, and as someone who watches the rest of the league too, I would say he's been the best dead ball taker in MLS for the past like 2 months.
Yeah. So. It's anything he does is bad, but I will agree with this one thing. They do beat up on bad teams. That's not a bad thing, but we have yet to see it done against a giant other than Columbus Crew, which again, asterisk because no goalkeeper.
I guess I put a little more credence in the Leagues Cup results than some people do because I know that tournament ended very badly, but they boat raced the Galaxy, who are number 1 in the West right now. They are the best team in the Western Conference.
They just beat
by
LAFC.
Points, and they just we're gonna talk about that in around the league, but they just absolutely destroyed LAFC, and Seattle absolutely destroyed them, and Seattle also destroyed Pumas in Leagues Cup too.
It's true.
So I mean, I could go back through the schedule, but like there are individual games where Seattle has played well and beaten good teams. It's just so happens that the best run of form that they had came on a very soft part of the schedule. That's where this agenda comes from. And then you beat Sporting KC. It's going to strengthen it.
Exactly.
But this is the brigade is going to love this one.
Yes.
I mean, we posted the video on YouTube. It actually got a decently positive response so far. Yeah. But we were talking about the Rusnak for MVP agenda, which is slightly, it
was bait a little bit. It was bait.
The title of the video was bait, and I would say it
was an offhanded joke by you.
It's a facetious agenda, in part. But like, what I will say is, I know stat sheet production in itself isn't everything. But like, if you look at the guys that are getting talked about for these honors and these accolades, Ricky Puig has pretty much like the same output. And like, if you said Ricky Puig for MVP, I mean, I filled out the MVP power rankings for MLS Soccer the other day, and I had Ricky Puig on there, so like, I think Lucho and Cucho are probably the front runners right now.
I think Cucho and Rusnak are like even statistically though.
I mean, I think Cucho's having like a little bit, like he's at
he might be a couple goals more now, but like.
They
were close.
The point is, like, the output is like not that different from these guys,
right?
Like, so if you think that this agenda is just like totally blowing smoke and out of nowhere, which I know a lot of people do, like just compare like the output, and people say like stats can be misleading, but like.
Sure.
I mean,
it's true.
I don't really think there's all that much misleading about the numbers that Rusnak has this year, unless you're going to say that, penalties and set pieces don't count. But like penalties is one thing. Set piece assists. That's
half of the game right
there. I don't
there.
see how that doesn't count. Cucho has 13 goals, 10 assists.
Albert has 18 combined, so I don't know what that. I guess that might be a little different.
And I know all comps doesn't count towards MVP, but really it's more meant to illustrate like the type of year that we're talking about here. And that being said, like
it's okay. Messi will win it anyway. We don't even need to have this conversation.
Well, Messi. I mean, Messi came back this week and he went off. We're gonna hit that under around the league too. Yep. So, but anyway, the Rusnak for MVP agenda is strengthened. Is my point.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and then this last agenda from listener Matt, which I think this is good. I'm interested to hear what you think of this one.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Christian Roldan is the best central midfielder on this team agenda? Now he's referencing the fact that Christian has been back in the double pivot more lately. Mm-hmm. He was for this game again, and he's looked very, very good. JP is out right now, and the Christian Obed double pivot has been faring just fine. And, I was talking about how I liked the idea of right back Christian Roldan because I thought that might be the best way to get him on the field. But I was saying that under the assumption that just JP is automatically like written in pen at that in the double pivot if he's healthy. Whereas I think what Matt is asking is like, is that actually written in pen, or if when JP is healthy, is Christian, is he the best central midfielder on this team? And I think I would add to that, is Christian Obed the best double pivot as opposed to Obed JP?
Yeah. I think to start, is Christian Roldan the best central midfielder on this team agenda? Just simply for the fact that you can put him anywhere in that central midfield and feel confident playing him? Yes. That is, and this is again, like the Albert Rusnak is a TAM player agenda hits so hard here because Christian Roldan might be the best dollar for dollar player that I've ever seen in my life. You can put him anywhere. You could put, you know what? You could probably put him at goalkeeper. I mean, his brother played goalkeeper. We know that he was elite. You probably put Christian Roldan at goalkeeper and he's making at least 10 to 20 saves a season. You know what I mean? So
he'd be better than Sean Zawatsky.
He'd be better than Sean Zawatsky. I genuinely think he is. I love Christian Roldan. I love him. I think he is incredible. I think this agenda is on fire through the roof. He has to be at least considered the best central midfielder on the team. JP has had a little decline, I think, as he's aged.
Obed is the discussion.
And then, with Obed, but here's the thing. If you pair Obed with the wrong player, I don't think he plays as well. Like when you pair Obed with
Atencio.
with Atencio, or if you even pair him with Christian, I don't think he's as good as when it's Obed and JP. I think that since he's so young still, he does really like need that extra little guiding force there. And for that, I'm going to say agenda strengthened.
Yeah, no, I like the agenda. And I think the fact that that Christian has looked so good in that double pivot is, that can only be a good thing. I think JP's future with the team that's an open question at this point. I think I'd be happy to bring JP back at a good number. But I think like the days of him being like one of your highest paid players after this season, there's going to at least the front office brass is going to have to think about that. So we'll see what happens with that. But I do think that at this stage in Christian's career where he's getting up closer to 30 now, I think we're hoping that for that right mid spot or just one of the winger spots, at least I'm hoping that that's an area that's addressed by like a big time, big money DP. Moving Christian back into that position where really like we forget sometimes because he's been playing right mid the last couple of years, but like he was one of the best players in MLS at that position, I think, period.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely the decision of how to line up that double pivot when everyone is healthy. I think that's a good problem to have, and I'll be curious to see, man, because I really think like doesn't it seem like JP's the odd man out in this situation, which
it does
would be crazy because the same thing happened to Rui Diaz. So it's really feels just kind of like this changing of the guard going on right now.
No, I agree, and I think that is a good thing because as JP declines, but his salary is still so high, it's like I think it might be the right time to bid him adieu, give him his flowers, give him a kiss on the cheek, and send him off on the train to go to like who would buy him? Probably Vancouver, probably the Whitecaps or something.
Or maybe he has some inclination to go back to Brazil.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Who knows?
But either way, that's going to be. There's a lot of interesting storylines over this offseason to track, and that's going to be one of them. All right, that was it for the agenda check. Thank you, Matt, for submitting that one. That was a good discussion. We got a few of these questions here. Thank you, as always, to everyone who submitted and got the discourse flowing in my mentions. You know, it was funny. It was a good dub, and I only got like 20 replies.
That's what happens
when it's a fat L. I get 150. But thank you to everyone who did submit. Appreciate you all. Noah, what do we got?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your questions. We appreciate you all. We're going to start this one off here with a question / just a statement by Bard. How great does it feel to see Tim Melia suffer?
You know, I'm not going to lie. I did enjoy watching him pick the ball out of his own net. It was funny, too, how the fans don't forget. They were booing him every time
they were on
he
his
got
ass.
a back pass. They were on his ass, which, I think it's good banter at the end of the day. But people don't forget. Tim, you're welcome on the pod, though.
Tim, that would be a great.
That
would be so good. We get Tim, and then we secretly ambush him with Christian Roldan.
Ooh.
Now we got some content ideas here. Yeah, this next one comes from SounderFan4940. I'd like to know what changed in the second half. The first half was so exciting, but I was starting to fall asleep in the second.
I thought the start of the second half was still pretty electric. And then I think the later that they got into the second half, the more it became more cruise control and just kind of trying to see the game out. But like, really, I don't know if I saw that the same way. I felt like they were still cooking for most of the second half and really could have had a couple more goals in the second half. I just thought the offense looked really good all night.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was, like I had said before, I think it was the most complete game start to finish. I think you get tired legs eventually in the second half. That's just what's going to happen. But they were still putting the ball in the box, getting the ball on net late into that match. And I think Sporting, knowing that they were the only way that they were really going to win this game was to bunker and counterattack. They were essentially just bunkering and not countering attack towards the end of that game. So it was going to get a little bit more just slow, I guess, in a sense.
For a 2-0 game, which... people always say jokingly 2-0 is the most dangerous lead, but there is something that does feel like tenuous about it, because when you're losing 2-0, all you need to do is score one goal, and then it's just like a 50-50 result again. But like I never felt like that. Like more than most 2-0 leads, I was feeling like this feels dusted.
Yeah,
this
no,
feels
100%. This next one comes from Nathan. Rothrock agenda to the moon. Georgie strengthened. CR7 starting in the pivot for the playoffs? Question mark. Jordan should have had 2 at least.
That's a lot, Nathan.
That was a full podcast right there.
We'll
Thank you,
take those
Nathan.
one by one. I think we hit on most of these.
Yeah.
But Rothrock agenda to the moon. I mean, yeah, like
He's an actively good player, dude.
He has six across all comps, which Schmetz pointed out at his post game press conference, and yeah, like it's like to the point where, like, you know, I was talking about how I want to see a big money DP winger come in, but like I'm gonna be paying attention to how the rest of the season goes with Rothrock starting, because honestly, man, like if he's producing like this, like, it might be a headier play from Craig Wybes and company to like kind of just make him a focal point and maybe stack your resources elsewhere. I don't know. I don't know if I'm like as the number one purveyor of the Paul Rothrock agenda. I don't know if I'm like fully there yet, but the fact that it's a discussion is it's interesting, if nothing else.
Yeah, I think also to be noted, there is a very clear marker of when this team turned this season into something salvageable. It was when Rui Diaz was benched for none other than Paul Rothrock. Like, I'm not even joking. It is hilarious that we look back and we see your DP $10 million superstar who has won you every trophy under the sun. You bench him for Paul Rothrock. Paul Rothrock. And the Tacoma Defiance legend, Paul Rothrock, and you start cooking.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. Like, what if I had told you that before the season? That
I would have told you that was the way, honestly.
We would have said that,
Yeah.
but like most people, I don't think would have believed it. And I did want to, the second part of Nathan's question, Georgie agenda strengthened. I wanted to note, because I forgot, the celebration that Paul Rothrock and Georgie busted out, that was a fun little celebration. And the background on that is like they're boys. They're boys from the Defiance days. So I think they choreographed that up, also in honor of Georgie's father, who I believe recently passed away. So good celebration from Paul Rothrock and Georgie.
Should we just hit the next one? I feel like we got the rest of that on there.
We got the rest of them.
Let's hit this one from Charlemagne. The debate is, are Rothrock and others for real, or mediocre players making plays against terrible teams? The answer to me is obvious, and the other answer and to others is obvious. We don't agree. Couldn't be further apart, actually. I don't know what this person's trying to say, but I'm assuming they're saying, is Paul Rothrock for real, or is he just playing bots?
Well, and not just Paul Rothrock, but the Sounders in general.
Got it.
I think the second part, what he's getting at is, it seems obvious that these are mediocre players beating up on bad teams.
Got you.
And other people don't think that, but he doesn't agree with those
Let's
people.
see you get out there. Put yourself out there. I love this couch. Like, I'm taking this one first because I'm going to defend the honor of my king. Put yourself out there. Go try and get an MLS contract. Go try and get a USL League 0 contract. It's not going to happen. These guys are good players. You do not start in Major League Soccer without being somewhat of a talented player. Now, are there asterisks to that? Yes. Sean Zawadzki does exist. That said, Paul Rothrock would not be starting over a literal U22 signing. Paul Rothrock would not be starting over Raul Rui Diaz and moving Jordan Morris out of there if he wasn't the real deal. And honestly, I feel like if you watch him play, it doesn't matter the opponent. He's going to try and square him up. He plays his game. His off-the-ball movement is great. I genuinely believe that he is a incredibly talented player who you're never going to build a roster around him, but he's that type of player where it doesn't matter where you, like, how much you give him, he's going to work within his means, and that is incredibly important.
Yeah, I think the thing I would say to this one is, for however frustrated you might be with how this season has gone at times and how the offense hasn't, like especially early in the season, wasn't producing as much, and the team's been playing more at like 1.5 points per game as opposed to the 1.8, 1.9 that we're used to. I mean, there's still this team is still lined with players who have been very productive in their professional careers and have won a lot with Seattle. I mean, you go through Jordan Morris and Albert Rusnak and even Raul Ruidiaz, even though he's like not playing anymore. Like these are guys that like won CCL with this team. So like you can be frustrated with how the season has gone at times, and also acknowledge that. There are a lot of the guys on this team are definitely not like mediocre. Like,
right.
I don't know. I just don't.
I think it's also so easy for Sounders fans to be like, this team is dog shit. This team is terrible, because you are used to seeing this like otherworldly talented Sounders team, especially in the last few years. But also, remember 2016? Like that team looked worse than this team, and
way worse.
They signed one player and completely flipped the script. You've said it a lot. You say you don't think this team is far off. They are a good team. They are not an elite team, but they are still a good team. They are still better than 50 to 60 to 70% of the teams in Major League Soccer. And that is with a lot of homegrown players on their roster too. Like, I think, and I hate to just be like defending the way that they're like roster has been working, because we've been pretty highly critical of it. But if we're being honest, like they have made a lot with nothing. They look really great with a lot of like nothing, but it doesn't mean these players are mediocre by any means.
All right, I think that'll do it for questions for the week. Thank you as always to everyone who submitted. Appreciate you guys. We're gonna debut a new segment right now. We're gonna debut a new segment, and it's gonna harken back to content that we've previously done on this show. But this new segment is called Blazing Hot Coach Press Conference of the Week. We covered Wilfred Nancy and Caleb Porter's Blazing Hot press conferences on the last show, and it got me thinking, like, because I was going through some of the press conferences for this slate of games, and I found another Blazing Hot one, and I was like, you know what? Like, it wouldn't be that hard for me to just go through, like you know, I watch like most of these.
Yeah.
After like any notable result, I'm gonna see what the coach had to say.
Yeah.
So anytime I see one that's blazing hot, we'll put it on the show and we'll have this segment for it. So I guess last week was technically the debut, but this will be like the actual debut of it as an official segment on Lobbing Scorchers. If you want to sponsor it, hit us up in our
hot tamales,
we'll,
Takis, whatever,
yes,
whoever.
Like, if you've got a hot sauce company, that would honestly.
Oh, we are very big hot sauce fans.
We are hot sauce guys. So anyway, this week's Blazing Hot Coach Press Conference of the Week.
Drum roll.
Rob Valentino, Atlanta United. Now, Atlanta United are down horrendously bad, and I think that's context to understand here. They fired Gonzo Pineda earlier this season.
Bring him
and
home.
They also, did you see this? No, we didn't cover this, and it's actually kind of a big event for us, but I totally forgot to mention it on the last show. But they let go of Carlos Bocanegra.
I know, they did the unthinkable.
They actually did it. And, you know, I actually was on Garth Lagerway's little Zoom call after that happened, you know, just collecting the audio for our purposes. And Garth was getting grilled a little bit. And again, I brought this up. I've been on a couple of Garth's calls this year. And this is a guy that I think, as much as any sports executive, not just an MLS, but as much as any sports executive I've ever seen, he's got that lawyer training. So anything you can ask him, there's nothing you can throw at him.
You can't break that,
he
man.
Won't have an answer to, and he's still like that. Like it's not like he was thrown off by the questions or didn't have anything to say, but I'm telling you, man, you can see like that kind of swagger that he used to walk around Seattle with when like he knew that Seattle ran the league and was going to be gunning for Champions League every year. Like he is rattled. He's called it like the most frustrating part of his career, and like the fans deserve better, and it's not up to our standards, and like it's up to us to capitalize on the opportunity we have in this market with this fan base, and what we're doing is not good enough. Like he was saying all that stuff, which like when Garth was here, like he never had to give pressers like that.
No.
Like the team was balling the whole time,
Yeah.
and he was hailed rightfully as the best executive in the league, and I still think he has that reputation. But what I do think is that the project down there and bringing them back from the abyss is a lot more challenging than I think he anticipated.
Yeah.
He thought that he was going to go in there and their roster would probably need a fair amount of tweaking, but like that, I think he thought more of the foundation in place than he turned out to have. And I think he got there and he was like, what is going on here? What is this? And then
it's like in Community when they walk in with the pizzas and just the whole room's on fire. Yeah,
exactly. And then they really blew it up this year. They sold Almada and Giacomakis, and they brought in this new guy Marinchuk, but he just debuted, and they have to like integrate him. So the roster is just in flux, and they lost 2-0 to Nashville SC, who are not good at home. They lost 2-0 at home to Nashville SC, got absolutely bammed on. Rob Valentino is their assistant coach who's been with them forever. And basically Rob Valentino's job is every time they fire their coach, which is once every like year and a half, they're like, Rob, you take over until we hire the new coach. And so that's what Rob Valentino is doing right now. And I think he knows what the situation is, but he was getting grilled after the game about how big an egg Atlanta laid in this game. And I didn't watch the game. I saw the goals that Nashville scored, but I read some of the post-game coverage and stuff, and apparently it was just a disastrous performance. Like, basically, they played like Sporting KC played against Seattle, like at home against Nashville, it got boat raced.
And they're like not out of the playoff picture. They like if they would have won that, they would have been in ninth.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's very forgiving in MLS. They could still easily make the playoffs, and they had Nashville SC, who's like in last place or second to last place in the East right now at home, and they went out there and did that. And Valentino, man, God, just the pain in his eyes. Like, what did he say? He was.
Should we just play the audio right here?
Yeah, no. Like, let's throw down the audio. I think that should be how we handle Blazing Hot Coach press conference of the week. Is we'll just play the audio and let you hear it for yourselves. Here's Rob Valentino, Atlanta United interim head coach, after their 2-0 loss against Nashville SC.
I apologize to the people that watched that, and that won't be happening again. But we have to move on. I got no choice there.
Okay, well, following that up, how can you guarantee that it won't happen again?
Well, I'll make sure. Only thing I can control is our preparation and how we do that. From a mentality standpoint, from a soccer standpoint, that didn't warrant that performance. We had those words in there. You're right. Maybe I can't control that, so maybe I have to give up control of that. But it won't be from lack of trying. Excuse my words.
Rob, obviously a very upsetting performance for you. I'm sure the team as well.
I would hope so.
Yeah, but I guess looking at Nashville, to give them credit, what did they do, I guess, to really make it tough on the team tonight?
They played with intensity. They played from the start fast, aggressive. They played like they had something to prove. They in the first 5 minutes of the game, we didn't get out of our own half, whether it was aggression in duels or clearances. So from the first 5 minutes, they're not really talking about a tactic there, are you? Talking about, for me, a willingness to defend or just kind of clear your boxes and then from there clear your lines. But yeah, even on the ball, they moved it well. They've made a change. Credit to BJ, he did a great job. He set this team up perfectly. He's been making progress, although they haven't won games. He's been making progress, and I warned them about that as well. That they're a different team, and they handedly beat us, and deservedly so.
Did you see any signs in training that the team would put up a performance like this? Or?
No, this completely shocked me. This type of performance completely shocked me. It's not indicative of what this group is, and that's why it's a company line, right? Like, you move on and you dust yourself off and you go again. That's what we have to do, and I've said it all year long that no matter it's been high or low, good or bad, and you have to move forward. So I'll stick to that process and be as consistent as I can be. And control what I can.
Anyway, yeah, so that was Rob Valentino. Not happy.
No.
Not happy, to say the least. But a phenomenal entry for our new segment. That was Blazing Hot Coach press conference of the week. Atlanta United, down bad.
And we will keep tracking these folks. This is like crack for us.
It
it's
really,
like candy.
I can't believe that I didn't like come up with this segment sooner, but I'm happy that we've instituted it, and it's going to be some good content because you can pretty reliably bank on at least 1 to 2 blazing hot coach press conferences every week because like there's every slate of games, someone's going to take a real bad result.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
going to be a controversial call. So we'll have a lot more content up this alley. A couple of news items before we do winners and losers that I wanted to talk about, Noah. LAFC made another move. They made another move.
Yeah, they did. An oldie but a goodie.
They've signed Carlos Vela. He's back. This was kind of a weird storyline. Carlos Vela has not had a club this season. He and LAFC could not come to an agreement on a new contract before the season, so he's just been chilling. And there's like a deadline with like free agency, I guess. And they needed to, if he was going to get done, they needed to get it done. So they got it done. So Carlos Vela is back with LAFC for the stretch run of the season and into the playoffs, which you're shaking your head, which I'm assuming is like, LAFC getting richer kind of idea, which I think, if this is the Carlos Vela of old, then yeah, they got a lot better and deeper. But like my thing with Carlos Vela is like, he's an amazing player. He had one of the best individual MLS seasons of all time. I get probably the craziest individual, 34 goals, 15 assists, 1 MVP.
He was just incredible.
I've never seen an MLS player on one like that year.
No.
And they lost to the Seattle Sounders in
Famously.
the playoffs that year, famously. Great player at his peak. I'm not sure how much he likes soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's literally he's talked about this before. It's like there's been a couple athletes like in other sports that have like said stuff to this effect, but he said
It's like Jokic.
Or I was gonna say, Rendon, the
Yes.
baseball player.
Yep.
He's like, I don't like baseball. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
Carlos Vela is like. He has openly said that he like doesn't watch the sport or like think about it at all when he's not
I
playing
love
it.
that.
I love it, but like, how much like juice is he going to have for this right now? Maybe a lot
Yeah.
because he hasn't been playing all year, but I kind of get the feeling like he just strikes me as a guy who, like I said, doesn't like soccer that much, just happens to be insanely good at it. And I think that's part of the reason at his age, where I think he's 34 or 35 now, like he could have just like kept playing this year, whether he just took a little bit less money to start the year with LAFC or signed somewhere else. And he was just like, no, I'm just going to kick it. So anyway, like this could be a very big addition for LAFC, but I'm not so sure it like moves the needle for them all that much because we really don't know like what version of Carlos Vela they're getting.
I mean, it's still a depth piece though. Like the fact that you can
it's a
go
good depth piece.
Giroud to Carlos Vela to Denny Bouanga to like Bogusz, like come on. That's like it is the rich getting richer because it doesn't matter if he's bad or good. They could just never play him and they'd be fine.
Exactly.
It's the fact that no one else can have him too.
Right. And remember there was those rumors he was going to the Quakes.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, I think is a good point because that it's what they did with Gareth Bale a couple of years ago, where it was just like zero risk. Like if it busts, it literally doesn't matter. And then if he hits, he can literally come off the bench and win you MLS Cup.
Exactly.
So I think you are right about that. But as far as like, will it make an individual difference like in a playoff game when they're in the Western Conference Championship or whatever? I mean, who knows? I don't think it's like guaranteed, but I mean, we'll see. And I'm probably rationalizing. It definitely is the rich getting richer to a large extent.
We have to cope because we can't continue to just get our asses beat metaphorically and physically by LAFC.
And we're gonna have some fun at the expense of LAFC in our next segment. So I definitely am looking forward to that.
Correct.
Last two news items. San Diego FC expansion club, who are starting next year in 2025. They have a head coach, and it's Mikey Varas, who U.S. men's national team fans will recognize because he's currently the interim head coach for the USMNT.
Who famously lost to Canada.
Yeah, he was until they hired Pochettino. Now Varas is going to San Diego FC. I don't know all that much about him as a coach. I know he coached the U20s, and I will say that he had a pretty blazing hot press conference after the U.S. Lost to Canada, where he was talking about like they have to have the heart and the desire, and I can't impart that on them, and the players need to take that. Like it was an interim coach who just did not give a shit.
Yeah,
like, he was like,
He's like, these guys do not give a shit about this team, and they are playing like it.
Yeah, he basically that's kind of he didn't say that exactly, but I thought that's pretty much
that
what
was the vibe he was
the
giving.
vibe that I got,
which I respect. I am very pro putting more coaches who don't give a shit into this league.
Well, yeah, apropos of our last segment, I'm hoping that he gives us some more content as far as Blazing Hot Coach press conference goes. And the early returns from his U.S. men's national team tenure were strong in that respect. So good hire.
Absolutely.
Is what I'm saying. And then some Sounders news to close it off. Jackson Ragen signed a contract extension. I believe that was announced earlier today. Mm-hmm. There had been some question about this. He was in last year, right, of his deal, and there was some rumblings about that they were having trouble coming to terms and stuff, but ink is on paper. Jackson Ragen is here to stay. I think that's a good foundational piece to lock down. I was skeptical a little bit earlier this season when he had a bit of a rough run of form, but I think he's brought it back, and now he's banging in goals. That's been a great element to see in his game. Obviously he's a defender first and foremost,
right.
But one of the things we talked about was wanting to see him develop that attacking part of his game, and he really seems to have done so. These rebound goals that he's getting, that's exactly the type of stuff I want to see him doing. Would like to see him score more headers, but that's a nitpick. He's having a really good year. He's been defending really well over the last month or so, which I think is the most important thing. And I think this is a deal that you had to make, especially when you take into account that he's a local product.
Yeah, I think it was a win-win either way. If they let him go, I think they definitely could have spent some good money to replace him. But I think it was a perfect situation where they're we could fill that hole. We have enough depth, but also Jackson Ragen could be, as Yamar ages out, moves on, you have Jackson Ragen, who's been playing with him for so long, learning so much from him. He can essentially pick up the torch, keep going. You find your next Jackson Ragen. The cycle continues, but I'm stoked for it, man. I love that. And one thing I will note about Jackson Ragen, every time he scores, you know who else scores?
Paul Rothrock.
The 2 goals have always come together. So I'm just saying he's a good luck charm for Paul Rothrock, which we need on the team.
And that's a fun storyline too, because they were childhood
they played
friends.
together.
They played together, drove to practice together. So it's cool seeing them balling out for the first team, signing contract extensions, all that good stuff. All right, let's jump around the league, hit some winners and losers, and then we can get out of here. Does that sound good? No, all right. Let's talk about El Trafico. El Trafico happened on Saturday, and the LA Galaxy absolutely bammed on LAFC, folks. And I think this is significant for a few reasons, but I'll talk about the game itself first, because it was pretty interesting how it played out. LAFC actually went up 2-0, and I think they were up 2-0 at halftime. And then the Galaxy just lit it up in the second half. Dejan Joveljic scored 2 goals. Ricky Puig, I think, I know he scored 1. And then, Cerrillo scored a banger for the other one. So the Galaxy, they look like the Galaxy again. And I think the important takeaway here is that Joveljic is back.
Yeah.
And he had the Galaxy had taken a little bit of a downturn, taken some poor results. But Joey Paints and Joveljic have both been in and out with injuries. Joveljic hasn't played in a while. Joey Paints, I don't think, played in this game at all. So he's going to come back soon. And I think what I learned about the Galaxy, especially from watching them play Seattle in Leagues Cup and just that whole stretch without Joveljic, is that he's a very important piece to it, because he's really one of the best poacher number 9s in MLS
Yeah.
when he's in form. And then he also has a little more dynamism to his game. Like the first goal he scored in El Tráfico was like a very well taken, almost like a goal that like Rui Diaz in his prime would have scored. So I think, you know, they created separation at the top of the table with LAFC. They're 7 points clear of them for the top spot in the West. And if they have that front four of Joey Paints, Ricky Puig, who is disgusting, Gabriel Peck, and Jovic all healthy in the playoffs. I mean, watch out, man! Like,
dude,
people were saying,
and they have Royce,
and they have Royce, exactly.
And
people
they
were
have
saying
Royce.
like, you talk about the Galaxy too much. Is this a Galaxy pod or a Sounders pod? I mean,
and then we made friends with the LAFC folks, and it was like we're just gonna settle on the Galaxy love for a minute. But
I'm just telling you guys. I'm just telling you. Like, I'm not like saying it to like shower the Galaxy with praise. I'm saying it to warn you that they might be coming for MLS Cup. Any dismantling of LAFC like that gets my attention, especially because LAFC has been bamming on them in El Tráfico a lot in the last few, and it really, like, the second half looked like LAFC wasn't even on the field.
yeah, and listen, folks, I'm sorry, but Ricky Puig, Dejan Jovic, Gabriel Peck, Joey Paints, Marco Royce.
That's loaded.
What are we talking about? That's like in respect to the league, that's as close as you're gonna get to like a Messi-esque stacked Inter Miami front squad. Are they Inter Miami? Absolutely not. But they're pretty damn good.
The Galaxy getting Jovic back is more significant to the Western Conference playoffs than LAFC signing Vela
True.
is.
True. I agree.
That's a good take.
I agree.
I cooked on that.
Yeah, you did. You cooked.
Speaking of Messi, he's back for Inter Miami. And
This game was fun to watch.
They bammed on the Philly Union 3-1. And what I thought was funny about it was Inter Miami came out with Messi and looked terrible.
They looked
like the worst team I've ever seen. It was unbelievable. They were committing like crazy giveaways. They were like almost score. It looks like the Bad News Bears playing soccer.
It looked like Inter Miami 2 seasons ago when they were like wooden spooning.
Yeah, when Bob T was like the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
It, like to the point where we were talking about on the MLS Slack channel, we were like, "What is this Inter Miami?
Is
like
this a bit?
Are they doing a bit? Are they at the stadium right now?
Yeah.
Like, what am I watching?" And then so like we're like, "Oh man, like maybe Inter Miami is like going through it right now or something." No, like Messi gets 3 goal contributions, scores twice, gets an assist. It just shows like the margin of error that team has.
Yeah.
Like they can come out and literally look like the worst team in MLS and still win 3-1. And Messi can just like go off like that at any time, and it like really doesn't matter. So like think about how easy the game is when they're actually playing well. Like they played like shit and won 3-1.
Yeah.
And like honestly, it was really mostly the beginning of the first half, and then they kind of got into the game and looked more like their normal selves. But I would say if you asked Tata, he would say this was not good, really.
No.
Like we didn't play that well, and Messi kind of bailed us out. But that's like the power that they have right now. And so you know, as much as we just showered the Galaxy in praise, and you know, I've been saying it all season. Like people talk about the Crew, people talk about FC Cincinnati, people talk about LAFC. I'm just telling you guys, and you can bookmark this, clip it up, do whatever you want. If Inter Miami is healthy, the odds that they win MLS Cup, no matter who else is in form, no matter who else is playing for any other team in the league, the odds that Inter Miami wins MLS Cup, I think, are like, they couldn't be much higher. Like,
Yeah.
I think the MLS playoffs will probably look a lot like the League's Cup looked when Inter Miami won it, and they had all their horses, and no one looked particularly close to
Other than
touching them.
Dallas, funny enough.
Yeah, but I mean,
Even then,
even
it
that
was
game,
like,
they scored.
Messi's gonna put this free kick down, and that's in the
They
back
still
net.
scored 4 goals in that game.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like so, which at Toyota Stadium, which is like pretty much unheard of.
Yep.
So it's fun to watch, but it does make it feels like almost predetermined, like what the results are gonna be. So we'll see what happens. I could be wrong.
It's
like,
one of those situations where, and I hate to compare football and football, but like this past weekend, Georgia played at Kentucky, And they were the commentators were pontificating. They were like, the only way to play Georgia and beat them is play flawlessly and they are off and they have a bad game. That is the only way to beat LAFC, or I'm sorry, Inter Miami right now.
No, yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. My last winner of the week was Orlando City. They bammed on the Revs 3-0. Caleb Porter was suspended for this game, and he was like watching from a suite.
That rocks.
Which I'm like, if you're suspended, like
he's got the headset on, just
right,
like radioing
but
down.
But like, shouldn't you? I thought you couldn't be like at the stadium. Like
Yeah.
they just let him watch as a fan. That's kind of sick.
He's like, I bought a ticket. You can't refuse the entry.
Yeah, he was there. They kept panning to him every time Orlando City would bam.
He's
they would
just standing up in the booth pointing, like
they would
yelling.
They would cut to his suite, and it would be Caleb sitting there all pissed off, But anyway, that was just funny. All right, losers. We already talked about a couple of these, so we don't even need to go too long here. But I got Atlanta United. I mean, like we went over it in the Blazing Hot Coach press conference, but like, just tough stuff over there right now. You should read Five Stripe Final though. I've been consuming all their content.
Yeah, they cook. It's
good. I think I've talked about my Atlanta United Schadenfreude before, but like I do get a kick out of their struggles. I got RSL on here. We talked about this too. They're kind of spiraling, but they lost 4-1 to the Houston Dynamo.
Houston have been on a tear though, a little bit.
They have been cooking, but like I guess my thing with this RSL team is like they were supposed to be talked about up there with the big dogs.
We were talking about them up there with the big dogs.
I kind of like I was bragging about how I had to take about how they deserve to be talked about with the big dogs, and I was claiming validation on that. And to be fair, like when they were fully healthy, like Chicho's missed a lot of time with injury lately, and then they sold like one of their best players that made them that good, which I think it's a situation where it's like they couldn't pass up the bag that they got offered, but it has hurt their team.
100%.
So that's a bad L for them though, and ex-dog Pablo Mastrioni, he's got his work cut out for them, and I think
Bro needs to start barking.
He's got to start barking, and I think mainly, like I said, man, like that's relevant. If they're spiraling, that's relevant to Seattle.
100%.
That presents a window for Seattle to get a home playoff game, so that matters. And then I got both Hell is Real teams, man,
who are also both spiraling.
I mean, I wouldn't say Columbus is spiraling, but FC Cincinnati is definitely not in great form right now. And mainly, I'm just disappointed in both these teams because Hell is Real always brings a bunch of hype. We were hyping it up on the website. Cucho versus Lucho, MVP candidate showdown. And then they go out and 0-0 it. Like, a draw is one thing. Even like a 1-1 or a 2-2. It's a derby game. That might happen. 0-0? Come on, man. Cucho and Lucho.
What happened to the game I love?
What happened? Did Sean Zawatsky couldn't even get on the score sheet?
Yeah, come on.
What's going on? Not to pile on the Columbus Crew who are already not happy with us, but goddamn.
Just like play entertaining football. I thought that was your whole brand. Like like you score goals. Like, don't they have the best goal differential in the league?
Yeah, they do. Maybe get a backup goalkeeper. And anyway, all right. That'll do it for winners and losers. Unless you had anything else, Noah, I think we can call it a day for episode 64.
We're always the winners because we get to talk to all of you.
It's true. That's a good point. Thank you all, as always, so much for tuning in. We love and appreciate all of our listeners and our new audience that we are cultivating on YouTube. Sounderatheart.com/LS to support the show. Thank you to all of our paid subs. We love you guys. Like, comment, rate, subscribe, write us a review. Tell the city of Columbus to tune in.
Yep.
And sub to our YouTube and sub to
Share with Carlos Vela.
sounderatheart.com/LS. Share with Carlos Vela. Share with Steve Cherundolo. Share with John Thorrington.
There we go.
I think that's it. Until next time, we out.
Peace.